Welcome back to Morning Joe. Let's stay on the topic of the midterms. Katty Kay, you're just back from Florida. Tell us what you found there, especially as it pertains to the Hispanic vote and turnout.
Yeah, we went down there to try and do a report on Hispanic votes because obviously this is a group that just historically has not turned out. And the prospect amongst Democrats has been that because President Trump has used the language he has against Hispanics because of his immigration policies and all of the wall, that would drive up Hispanic voter turnout. But the Democrats down there are still concerned they're not going to see these big numbers turn out amongst Hispanics because so many of them are young. You know, young voters just don't vote in midterm elections. A quarter of Florida's population now is Hispanic. That's much higher than the national average. And if they don't show up at the polls, that's further problems for the Democrats down there.
In a big way.
Polls released yesterday from Montana showed Democratic Senator Jon Tester in the lead. A Montana State University Billings poll conducted by telephone from October 8th to October 13th found Tester ahead 47% to 38% against State Auditor Matt Rosendale. But it's a much tighter race than the Montana State University Montana Television Network poll conducted by mail from mid-September through early October. In that poll, Tester has a 3-point lead, 46 to 43. So, Steve, which one of these two? This is a race, by the way, President Trump has leaned on very hard, visiting Montana, doing a rally there a few days ago. Which of those polls do you think is closer to the truth?
Yeah, it's tough. We don't see many polls like that second one you just showed. There were 2,000 respondents. It was conducted over the period of 3 weeks by mail. So, you know, usually the first one's a more traditional telephone poll model. Both of them in some way, though, do sort of mesh with our basic understanding of the race, that even though this is a state that Donald Trump carried by 20 points, Tester appears to have some kind of a lead here. Whether it's only a couple points, whether it's a little bit more substantial than that, Tester does appear to be ahead in this race. Montana has that history, despite voting so strongly, you know, for Donald Trump. It has a Democratic governor. It elected Max Baucus to the senator for all those years. The other fascinating number out of Montana, though, in that first poll, the one that has Tester up by 9 points, they also polled the congressional race, which is the entire state of Montana, one congressional district for the state. And remember, the Republican incumbent there, Greg Gianforte, came to national prominence last year when he body slammed the reporter on the eve of that special election. Their poll has Gianforte up by only 3 points. So this is one of those potential sleeper congressional races. We talk so much about suburban districts where Democrats think they can pick off Republicans in places Clinton did well. Here's a place Trump won by 20 points in the Republican congressman fighting for his political life right now. And it may have something to do with the lingering controversy from, you know, what happened on the eve of that special election.
Democrats' hopes of taking the Senate are slim to begin with. It goes without saying they can't lose Jon Tester.
Right. Tester is an absolute must for them. Yep.
Right. And you got some other polls from the state of Georgia, some congressional polls that sort of fold in with the Stacey Abrams, Brian Kemp race for governor.
Yeah, it was interesting. One of these is sort of a blast from the past here, but you're looking at how close that governor's race is. One of the stories in Georgia is how the state has been changing demographically, particularly in Atlanta and immediately around Atlanta. So you see the governor's race there is tied. One area where you see almost a spillover effect from that, the 6th district of Georgia. Remember this one? Democrats pumped $30 million in there last year for that guy, Jon Ossoff, the special election from Tom Price's district. They got close in that. They lost that race by 4 points to Karen Handel. Well, there you go. Here's a new poll out just the other day. Handel still only leading by 4 points. Republicans are nervous enough about this race that just the other day they pumped more than $1 million in nationally to try to shore up Karen Handel because they are seeing these are suburbs that, you know, Mitt Romney had carried by 20-plus points in 2012. In this district, came all the way down to Trump +1 in 2016. So you had 20-point movement there. Demographically, it's changing. And next door, very similar story. Next door in the 7th district of Georgia, a place Trump had won by 22, Trump had won by 7, Romney won by 22. You got a single-digit race in a poll taken there this week for the Republican incumbent. So it's just, it goes to show you, we talk so much about these obvious targets Democrats have on the map in the House. There's a whole layer behind it in places like that. Rob Woodall right there, 7th district of Georgia, a 6-point lead right there. He's ahead, but that is a close race in a place that just 5 years ago Republicans would win like that.
Jeremy, let's go from the Deep South to the Midwest. You've been looking in Nebraska and Iowa to actually see what issues voters are really focusing on there. What did you find?
Well, it's not a whole lot of what you hear from national Democratic leaders, national Republican leaders, or the media, really. I mean, I think it goes back to the conversation you were having at the top of the hour about health care, about things that personally affect their bottom line. I will say, though, the one exception is the caravan. I was at a Republican Women's Club meeting last Monday night, so this is a week ago, before the news of the caravan really got overheated. And Representative Don Bacon, a centrist Republican from Nebraska, running in a district that's pretty split. It's one of those Obama-Trump districts. Every single question, Joe, that Don Bacon got was about the caravan or about immigration. So this issue has permeated the Republican consciousness in a way that is going to be very helpful. I think we've seen that already to the Republican Party. I think the question is, so what do the Democrats do? Because the Democrats aren't talking about immigration at all. I mean, they're trying to keep things focused on health care, as they believe they should, because it really is, when you talk to voters, what they care about. But this whole fraudulent notion of open borders, that the Democrats support open borders, is being left unanswered. And it's just not true. But you won't find any Democrats who want to engage Trump on that. And I think they're suffering because of that, because it does make them look like they don't care about illegal immigrants.
Now, you know, Willie, David Frum wrote an article about this yesterday in The Atlantic. And his argument was pretty simple. It was like, hey, Democrats, just respond to this and say, we don't want open borders. We want to make sure that people get into this country illegally. We don't think it's right that people come up to our borders and overwhelm it. And we are opposed to porous borders as much as the rest of Americans. But there has been no response, which has allowed Donald Trump to lie about building a wall and lie about the impact of caravans and lie about illegal immigration and of course lie about all the people coming in from Mexico, when we still have a net negative immigration pattern there. More people going back to Mexico than coming here.
You know what else is interesting too, Eddie? The idea behind family separation was that it was a deterrent for migrants. It was a deterrent to illegal immigration. So what happened there? If you have this dangerous caravan of thousands of people invading from the border, perhaps family separation wasn't the deterrent the president said it was.
I think the argument that has to be made, Willie, is that who are we? What do we stand for as a country? What are our values? To kind of show that this immigration policy reflects what Whitman would describe as the hollowness of the heart, a kind of callousness of the spirit. So don't begin with the argument on their terms about quote unquote illegal immigration. Don't begin with the argument within their frame about denying open borders. Begin with the claim about who do we take ourselves to be, and to begin to make a claim about or to describe why these folk are leaving Honduras and Guatemala, and what are we? How do we represent ourselves? See, because when we and that doesn't mean that you are committed to open borders or you're committed to undocumented workers entering the country in quote unquote illegal ways, right? What we're committed to is who we take ourselves to be. And what the Republicans are doing, what Donald Trump has done, is undermine a consistent standard story about the greatness of this country. Now, I know a different side of America, and so do these people. And I think that the Democrats need to put forward a positive vision of who do we take ourselves to be in contrast to what these folk are saying.
But you know, Eddie, the Democratic candidates to get elected president of the United States, whether it's Barack Obama or whether it's Bill Clinton, will say, who are we? We are a nation with a big heart. We are a nation with a Statue of Liberty at the head of New York Harbor. We are a country that has fed and freed more people in the history of this planet. That is who we are. But we're also a nation of laws. We want immigrants to come to this country. We want refugees to come to this country. We want people to send their tired and they're hungry and they're poor and they're huddled masses. But we're still a nation of laws, and it's that balance that makes America so great. That's what Democrats have to do. That's what Bill Clinton did. That's what Barack Obama did. That's not what Democrats are doing today, and it's not that hard to do. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to get that message out there, that, yes, we're a nation of these values, but one of those values is the rule of law. Let's work better at balancing those two values.
You know, Joe, I think part of what I'm arguing is that you can make the claim for immigration policy predicated upon the values that we are committed to without stipulating to the claim that the immigration system is broken, without stipulating to the claim that somehow we're committed to open borders. Part of what I think we have to do, that is those of us on the left, we have to resist the framing of the issue that Republicans put forward. We know Republicans don't give a damn about the rule of law. That's how we opened up our segment at 6 o'clock this morning, right? That they don't care about the due process. They're only invoking the rule of law because they're invoking the long-standing kind of scary ghost of the barbarians at the gate. We've heard that since Edmund Burke, right? So part of what Democrats have to do, I think, Joe, is shift the center of gravity of the debate and stipulate to the claim that we're committed to reasonable immigration policy, but to put forward who we actually are, a sense of who the country actually is, John. That's what I'm saying.
You also, Willie, you know what you can also do if you're a Democrat? You can just state the truth.
Yes, the value of the truth.
You can just tell the truth and say that more people are going back to Mexico that are coming to the United States, and that they're just a fraction of people coming to this country illegally compared to what it was like at the beginning of Barack Obama's term. You could talk about how illegal immigration to this country has gone down and went down repeatedly under Barack Obama. It's on a little spike under Donald Trump. That's why he's freaking out. But you can just tell the truth and then just say this is scaremongering. Americans will get it.
Tell the truth and do what you said. Barack Obama said years ago as a senator, he talked about the rule of law. President Trump tweeted out a clip yesterday of Barack Obama, then senator from Illinois, talking about the rule of law, and we have to have strong borders. So there is a way through this. John opened the show with a Magna Carta reference. Professor Glaude came back with Boo Boo the Fool, and now a Walt Whitman quote. The ball is in your court at 7 a.m. Think about it.
Do
what I can.
Think very
It's
strongly.
on.
Jeremy Peters, thank you. Steve Kornacki, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Steve's new book is The Red and the Blue, the 1990s and the Birth of Political Tribalism. Coming up on Morning Joe, the president says the killing of Jamal Khashoggi was bad, but that the Saudi cover-up was the worst in history. We'll have the new action from the Trump administration on this ahead.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.